online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey guys, welcome into the Keeping Up with the Kardashians after show right here on AfterBuzzTV.com. We're talking Rockin' the Cradle today, part one of a two-part season finale. We got a lot to talk about. This was an hour-and-a-half long show, and when it's 90 minutes of Kardashians, the drama just seems to get deeper and deeper. Am I right, ladies?
Longer and longer, yes.
Longer and longer. I'm your host, Bobby DeMiro. Sterling Cates is out tonight. She will be back for our next after show, whenever that is. If it's tomorrow or next week, we'll keep you guys posted on that.
She's with
But
Kanye
joining
right
me
now.
are Francesca Dugan and Jesse Owen. She is with Kanye. What, Made in America or
Made
whatever?
in America.
Sterling has an amazing life.
Yes, she does.
It's like a new festival every weekend. What a girl.
We need to start tagging along to these festivals.
I need like her budget. I need her friend circle. Like I feel like Sterling likes us as friends, but she's never invited us to any of these festivals. It's always been her and Kanye, so maybe she doesn't like us as much as we think she does.
Maybe they're plotting against us.
All right, well, glad you guys have so much to say about Sterling. Let's jump into the show right now. A lot to talk about today. Obviously, Kim's wedding and a lot of things that center around that. So let's start with one of those subtopics, and that's Brody. And maybe it's just to get him out of the way. What do we think about this situation, not only with Kim's wedding, which we'll get to, but specifically the size of the venue, how many people they can invite, the fact that Brody can't bring his girlfriend, and more to the point than that, the fact that Brandon and Leah get paid for by Kris and Bruce, and Brody gets kind of left out in the cold. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll be interested to hear what y'all say, but Kris, you can't pick favorites. I know it's not just Kris's problem, but you can't pick favorites because stuff like this happens.
Yeah, that's a really awkward situation. I personally wouldn't have done that. I don't see why they picked them two over them as a whole because, well, you know, Bruce was trying to justify it by saying they've been, you know, Brandon and Leah always call and hang out and blah, blah, blah. I know that Bruce and Brody have had like a tough relationship this last year, but that's still just so weird. That's like being, you know, telling Kylie, well, I'm going to pay for you and not for you, Kendall. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and Kris's reasoning for it was, and she said it on the thing, was, oh, well, Brody's racked up a lot of miles. That's exactly what it's like. Oh, we're going to pay for Kylie, but Kendall, you're a big model. You travel a lot. You can buy your own ticket. It's like, okay, maybe Brody can get his own ticket or whatever, but that's not really the issue here.
Right.
Right, and I don't like how she was, Kris made the statement, I'm just trying to be a good stepmom. Okay, well then be a good stepmom and pay for your stepchildren.
Or don't pay for any of them.
Like,
do one or the other.
Right.
And I know that Leah and Brandon are married, so they're kind of like a package deal, but it's still really awkward. You should have done Brody and Brandon and then figured out something for Leah, even though she is technically family, but it's like, those are your two stepchildren.
And the reason they gave with Brandon and Leah, they've been so close to us, they really helped Bruce out, whatever it is. You create these rifts between these stepchildren. Yes, maybe Brandon helped out Bruce more than Brody did, and Brandon and Bruce have a better relationship than Brody and Bruce, but Brandon and Brody are very close, and you kind of divide them when you do something like this. It's the same thing in a different way with Rob, and I know that obviously Rob's situation was different, but you have different family members who feel a little bit more involved and different ones who feel a little bit less involved for different reasons. But you do that with Rob, you do that with Brody, and it's like then you create these rifts. With Rob's is a unique story with the wedding, which we can talk about later, but with Brody's, that's a totally avoidable situation. Just buy the damn ticket.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think Brody should be getting upset about not being able to bring his girlfriend because weddings are about the couple getting married. It's not a party for the guests. Like baby birthdays for like 1-year-olds, those are for like the guests, not the actual birthday person. But for a wedding, it's their wedding, and it doesn't matter if the venue can only accommodate a certain amount of, you know, people. If you don't know these people very well, why do you want them sharing an intimate moment with you? So I don't think Brody should be mad about that. But if I were Brody, I would be upset about the Brandon and Leah thing.
Right, and I disagree about the girlfriend too. He shouldn't care about that because, I mean, he just started dating this girl. You can't just, I mean, things like that don't last. Then she gets in the family photos, you know. I've been to so many things where, you know, with exes, and like they've been to family events with me where they were in family photos, and those photos, they're not ruined, but it's like, you don't want to hang those.
Awkward.
I agree. And prove to me that Caitlyn is her name, I believe. Prove to me that Caitlyn is different over a longer period of time. If they'd been dating for a few years, then maybe you do bring her out. Then, even if they're not married, if there's some established relationship, maybe you do bring her out or let Brody bring her out. But if it's a few months or if it's relatively new, and Bruce even said it, there's been a lot of relationships with Brody. This one seems different. That's great. I'm sure it is different. I know Brody's growing up. I hope it is different. I know Sterling wishes he'd be single, but I hope it is different. I hope he can do whatever with her and they get married or whatever. But prove that over time. You can't do it now.
I mean, even if they were dating for a couple years, it's still, you know, the venue or what the bride/groom wants. It's kind of like, well, I guess we could segue really fast into Kim talking about asking Bruce to cut his hair, because I always think about this when I am not a girly girl and I don't really think about weddings and all that jazz, but every now and then I think about, like, what if your best friend or one of your bridesmaids is like overweight? I've heard lots of girls talk about this, like, we're all gonna work out and we're all gonna do this, but how do you go about saying something like that? Can you really say something like that? So how can you go to Bruce and be like, you gotta cut your hair?
Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen, Frankie is a bridezilla.
No, I'm saying I've seen the shows and I've heard, you know, about it, and it's awkward because it is your wedding and these are going to be your pictures and all that stuff. So, but like, how do you tell someone they got to change their appearance? Do you know what I'm saying?
I agree with you, and I think what that comes down to, let's jump into that right now, because that is another interesting facet of this, and Lord knows I'm team ponytail. Bruce, do your thing. You look amazing.
My little pony.
As long as it doesn't look like that picture we showed a couple weeks ago too, where it looked like he just woke up. Like, I mean, if it's nicely back in a ponytail, I understand you might not like it, but that's like...
That's him. And that's the thing.
If he had a mullet, like a full-on mullet, I'd be like, we got to do something about the mullet.
But listen, Jesse talks about family memories, and this is the same thing in a different way. And Frankie, you're saying, well, what happens if a bridesmaid, or if a new wife, a bridesmaid is overweight or something? If the bride has a bridesmaid who's been overweight her whole life, and that's the way the friendship is, that's the way she is in the picture. That's the way this girl is. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
It's the same thing with the ponytail. Bruce is the ponytail. And I know Kim may not like it style-wise on her own, but Bruce is the ponytail. That is part of Bruce. And when you look at those pictures, even if you personally are like, the ponytail's not in style, that's what Bruce is. That's part of the family. It is what it is. And when you make him change it, I think you go overboard because you're trying to manufacture something fake. You have a beautiful family. You've got an interesting family. Let it be real. Let it be what it is, and it's still going to be beautiful and perfect. And those memories are going to be better than making Bruce look dapper for one day, and then he goes back. Why? This is what he is.
Exactly.
It was really sad too that he was saying, "Oh, it took me a year and a half to grow this out."
Hey, it's hard out there, you know.
That Jenner clan has hair, man. Brody's got great hair, and then Bruce and Brandon, of course.
Bruce just needs to take some biotin. He'll be okay.
Hairfinity, I don't
Bruce,
know.
no offense.
Mane and tail works wonders too.
Bruce been taking a lot of different stuff, been having a lot of different things done to him. So I think biotin is probably already on his list if it's not there already. Let's transition topics right now. Before we do it though, cool new thing. We've got a cool new sponsorship here at AfterBuzz from Birchbox. Ladies, I know y'all know skincare maybe a little bit better than I do, but Birchbox gives you access to beauty editor intel. You can subscribe with them, and every month you get this daily dose of beauty products, pretty much things to try out.
It's like 5 or 6 different makeup or face care just tailored to you. Benefit
Smashbox Beauty Protector. I look naturally amazing. I know y'all probably use products you don't need to. You're beautiful women. But if you use the promo code AfterBuzz, all one word, use the promo code AfterBuzz, you get 100 Birchbox points with the purchase of your subscription. If you don't have a subscription already, this is a great reason to do it. That's $10 to spend towards your new favorite products. And then what you guys end up getting is every month you get a personalized delivery of these 5 beauty products. You can try them out. You have all these trial samples and things like that. And if you like them, you can then buy them through Birchbox. You get them at a better rate. blah, blah, blah. So Birchbox is doing a cool thing with us at AfterBuzz. So check that out with them. Use the promo code AfterBuzz. You get 100 points with them, which is $10 off your monthly subscription. So thank you to them for doing that.
Yeah.
So let's transition with that. When we talk about beauty and weddings, I guess that's the perfect sponsorship for a show like this. But before we get to more of Kim's wedding, I want to talk about Kourtney and Scott. A little bit more of a serious topic on this show. And the first half of this episode today really revolved around the wedding. And then in the second half, we kind of took a left turn and got into a lot of Kourtney and Scott. And not even really the pregnancy. We knew she was pregnant, of course. Everybody knew something like this was coming. And we also knew how Scott was going to react. It was more what he did afterwards with the club, with disappearing, with the appearances and stuff like that. So really broadly, before we jump into it, Frankie and Jesse, initial reactions. What's up with Scott?
I don't know, but I know that Kourtney handled it a lot better than I would have handled it because, I mean, I understand he's going through a hard time. I get that. But that is no reason to lie to your, I almost said wife, but they're not married. They're
Air quotes, wife.
baby mama.
Boo thing.
You know, it's like he lied to her. Like she called his friend and he lied. And he never said where he was. Like he was just out. Like, that's just weird to me. Like,
it's weird and it's wrong, but I will give Kourtney a lot of credit for understanding this isn't about, I hope this wasn't a cheating situation. I don't think it was. This isn't about him getting some. This isn't about another girl. It's not like that. This is a guy who needed some time alone. And as mad as Kourtney is, as scared as Kourtney is, the restraint that she showed and the empathy she showed to say, I know you're going through something. I'm just glad you're safe. And I want to do what we need to do to help you. Yeah, she was probably pissed as hell underneath. But if she had come to him with fire and yelled and screamed at him,
Just would have made it worse.
he would have either yelled back or disappeared again. So I think she understands. Maybe, I don't know what he did. We can't speculate. Maybe he drove up the California coast for a few hours and came back. Who knows? But the point is, I think he just needed to be alone and decompress. And she, as mad as she was, as scared as she was, understood, you know what? Something bigger than me is going on here. And as tough as it is, I got to give him a little bit of space. He can't do it again, but I got to give him a little bit of space.
I'll give it to Kourtney. We can all learn something from
Yeah,
her today.
Kourtney definitely handled it a lot better, like you said, Jesse, than I personally would have. I mean, I just would have been furious. And the way he walked in nonchalant, grabbed something from the fridge, I'm going to go to my room because it's still really awkward that they sleep in different rooms.
No, that's not awkward. That's 50s romance. That's
Yeah.
old
No,
school.
I said that while we were watching it, but correct me if I'm wrong. For some reason, I remember there being an episode where they discussed why they lived in separate rooms.
I feel like maybe perhaps so as well, but it's still awkward because they work very well together as a team, but then, you know, Scott jokes about it with Chloe, like, you know, every now and then when me and Kourtney get physical, she always gets pregnant. So it's like I feel like they don't really have that intimacy. I mean, who knows, but from how they portray it. So it is kind of weird. But back to the point, for him to just walk in the house nonchalant and grab something and whatever, like, I still think he needed to say something at that point. Kourtney shouldn't have had to go up to him and say anything, you know?
Yeah. And I think...
Especially if flights are involved.
Yes.
Or you're coming from, you know, another country. Like, yeah.
Especially since
Stress
one
to the
flight
max.
just disappeared. I mean, he really needs to be more considerate. Especially, he did say it, you know, he felt bad that she was pregnant and he put her through that. Which he should feel bad. No pregnant woman should have to deal with that.
No, and he was right afterwards, and he said, I made the wrong judgment. And I think, I'm assuming this, we don't know, but assuming he just wanted to be alone, or wanted to drink a little bit himself, or wanted to not go crazy, but just have some alone time, that's something I feel like I would go to Kourtney about, or go to my wife or boo thing about, and be like, you know what, I'm going to be honest, I'm having a really tough time dealing with this. I'm going to go be alone. There's no girls. There's nothing weird. Just don't call me for like 12 hours. And she may still be mad, and Kourtney may still be pissed off, but at least clue her in a little bit. You know, Kourtney, a lot of credit for how she reacted. Scott, not a lot of credit for how he handled it in the first place. And he knew that was wrong, and he said as much.
Right.
So the question is, how many more times does that happen? You know, do you learn your lesson? I know he's been doing stuff like this before. We thought he got over it for a while. The situation with his parents happened. Now there's a third kid involved. Is this going to be a habit that's going to happen again and again and again? And if it is, dude, it's time to grow up again. You thought you grew up, you're backsliding, and we can't have that.
Yeah, I mean, his parents both dying so close to each other is a huge blow, and cannot imagine that, and I don't want to imagine that. So I can assume that, you know, you just kind of regress. I'm sorry. Just like you said, you go backwards, because grief is, you know, really tough, especially if you don't, especially, you know, being around a family like the Kardashians, which is huge, and they're always there with each other all the time. You know, so I understand why he's freaking out. And
this is what's really sad to me with him. There's a big factor of guilt here, where Kourtney was trying to do the right thing and say, let's go to the Hamptons, let's get away from California, let's kind of go somewhere where you feel safe. Maybe we'll stay in the house, maybe we won't. Let me help you. And Scott saying, and this broke my heart, saying, my parents wanted us to come out for a summer for years. We never had the time. We never did it. Now we finally have the ability, the time, blah, blah, blah. And we can't do it because they're not here anymore. That's really tough for him. And I understand work schedules, and maybe they legitimately couldn't do it before, but there's still got to be an incredible amount of guilt on him.
Oh, yeah.
And through no fault of Kourtney's to suggest it maybe, but that's a lot of guilt he has to deal with. And he didn't do anything wrong, but it's still a guilty feeling for him that I don't know how you bear that load, especially with what else he's going through with that and depression and the alcohol problems he's had in the past.
My one thought while watching this was clearly we know Khloe and Kourtney took over the Hamptons.
Yeah.
So part of me was wondering if you know, obviously this was kind of their little foreshadowing to that spinoff, but was this really to help Scott then, or was this we're working it in for the show? So that's the one thing that was sitting in the back of my head while I was watching that, and I was just like, this kind of feels like wrong or sad, because I feel like there's a double, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I think because they knew that their store in New York was, the rent was going up or something, they wanted to relocate. I think she decided, hey, maybe we should look in the Hamptons, let Scott figure out his stuff. So I think a little bit of both, probably.
This is one of those cases and points, though, where I would really like to see what differs between what we see on television reality and real reality. Because real reality is Scott's parents are dead. This is true. What happened on television is what you're just talking about, Frankie, is how much of this was a production thing. Hey, let's go to the Hamptons because we have the spinoff anyways. Because if that's really going on, Scott is either a real sick individual or a real trooper to put up with the social side of it for the business side of it. To put up with his personal issues with his parents and what's going on and say, the show must go on, the business must go on. That's, I don't know if it's good or bad, but that's eye-opening if that's the case.
Didn't you or someone a couple weeks ago have gossip about them leaving the Hamptons and Scott stayed behind, or Scott went somewhere else after? What was that?
Keep talking, I'll find it.
She's got a whole book of gossip.
But I mean, I feel like it was something like he didn't come home after the Hamptons, or he went somewhere else. So clearly I feel like he's still in the same rut that we see him here currently now, which is, I mean, it is heartbreaking and sad. You should, most of the time, you should be happy to be welcoming a child into the world. So I don't know.
And I think it's interesting, and this is another parallel, and we had that 1 week early on where I talked about Rob a ton, and we talked about Rob, and then we haven't really hit him since. Scott and Rob are going through, from different causes, a similar emotion. And it's like, bring these two guys together. You know, I know there's maybe a concern that they'll depress each other more or they won't click together, but they've been close in the past. There's no animosity between them anyways. Bring these two guys together and let them kind of lean on each other, because in the past, remember, we've seen Scott like work out with Rob and encourage Rob and walk and jog with him. I've seen scenes like this in past episodes. Maybe Scott can do that for Rob and Rob can be there for Scott, because I respect what Kourtney's trying to do. I'm sure Scott's friends are doing the same thing, but sometimes you kind of need a close person of the same sex. You know, is your boo thing, your wife or whatever is great, but sometimes you need bro time or whatever you want to call it. Maybe Rob's the only guy who kind of can do that for him.
We need to see Lord Disick and Arthur George take something.
Rome.
Take New Orleans.
How about why don't we do a Kardashian spinoff with those two? This is a great idea. Take Rob and Scott, the Lord and Arthur George, but take them to a really basic city. Take them to Abilene, Texas. Could you even imagine Scott and Rob and like
it'd be the real world Kardashian
Could
style.
you even imagine that? Take them to Salt Lake.
It'd be that kind of reminds me.
Hey, I heard Salt Lake's beautiful.
It reminds me of that show that Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie did. You know, where they traveled all over
The
the
Simple
world.
Life or whatever.
Simple
Yeah.
Life, yeah.
Yeah. But they wouldn't be traveling. They're just in Abilene. Scott and Rob are in Abilene, and they like work at a bar. I like this a lot.
No, I don't like them at a
too
bar.
real world. That's too real world. I would rather them go to like Europe or New Orleans or something where they could just like just take it.
Yeah, but I don't think they should be around all those vices. You know what I mean?
Okay. We'll send them to Abilene. Let them work in a church.
But I know you're saying that you think that Scott and Rob should kind of have each other. But I feel like when it's something that you're going through that's on a really, really deep level like they are, you do need some kind of professional help.
Yeah.
That's like a lot of, like, for example, a lot of our soldiers come back with PTSD and they can't just, sometimes they can just talk to each other, but they do need help to get through that. So I think depression, grief, all that stuff, really, really deep stuff, especially, like I said, when it goes really, really deep. I just repeated myself. But, I think you do need some sort of professional help. And you have to be willing to take it. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
And with Scott specifically, and I don't know this as much about Rob, but with Scott specifically, he can be OCD. He can be neurotic. He can be an overthinker and an overanalyzer. And he's very tightly strung just naturally.
When's
That's
his
the way
birthday,
he
by
is.
the way?
When's Scott's birthday?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like he's a Taurus or something.
Oh, Lord.
Anyways, go
Here
on.
we go. But he can be all these things. That is a person who may truly benefit from professional help, because if you start getting in your head when you're down and you're an overthinker anyways and you're real tightly wound anyways, you can send yourself down the very wrong path and totally overthink everything and really screw yourself up without knowing it.
Yeah, but even if you're not an overthinker, once you're already that low,
Yeah.
it's really hard to get back up. So
Yeah. You're telling me. It'll be interesting to see with Scott. The other aspect of this story is Courtney with the baby. Did Courtney do anything wrong by withholding that pregnancy from everybody for as long as she did?
A part of me thought that maybe she was withholding it so she didn't steal Kim's thunder, because she was about to have the wedding, which is understandable. But I think it's wrong that she didn't tell Scott. I mean, she could have withheld it from everybody else because everybody's dealing with a lot of other stuff. Yes, Scott's dealing with stuff too, but this is affecting his world. This is his kid. So, yeah. I mean, she should have, as soon as she found out, and he was saying that he took her out for her birthday and she knew she was pregnant, but, I just think that's messed up.
It's not like it's, her boyfriend she's been dating for 3 months, like, oh crap, what do I do? No, they have 2 children together. I do think she probably should have told him a little bit sooner. But I do think it's funny that Scott was the one to tell Chloe, especially just,
yeah.
I mean, I love their friendship. And I like that Chloe went back to Courtney knowing it and just, teased her like, yeah, you enjoy those Nillas.
I love how she goes to Nilla wafers. Like, that's awesome because I love Nilla wafers.
What are you saying?
Well, I hope that when I get pregnant, I'll crave Nilla wafers.
Nice. Not like fried pickles or anything like that.
Nice save. And you guys are right about Scott and Courtney in this sense that Courtney should have told them. I know that it's obviously not cheap to raise a kid no matter what your financial situation, but they're not on minimum wage. They're not in abject poverty. They can raise the kid financially. They can, and that doesn't make it easier, but it does make some things easier. They can raise them financially. They have an established relationship. They're raising 2 now, so it's not like they're brand new to parenting. So with all those factors going in, you should have been not necessarily more prepared. You can be surprised, but you should have been more prepared to have the conversation, to just pull them aside and say, here we are again, right when you know.
Yeah.
But question on that. Like his parents are gone and we have our parents, obviously. I mean, is it weird? Okay, obviously he doesn't, how do I say this? He doesn't have his parents with him. So he was talking about how it's like strange to him that he has 3 kids and thinking about the finances and all that. Well, I mean, he doesn't, like, if he needed help, like most people go to their parents, right? Well, he doesn't have anybody to go to anymore. So I'm sure that is weighing heavy on him.
But he does. He's got Bruce and Chris.
Well, yeah, he does have them, but there's nothing like having your own parents. You know what I mean? But I do agree. Financially, they're fine, but they do travel a lot, and they do a lot of They do a lot of things because of who they are, and just like with Kim and Norris, she doesn't really want her. I mean, we see she's a baby model now, but she doesn't show her in the shows and stuff like that. I mean, 3 kids and you're in the spotlight and all that. There's a lot more probably that goes into it than we normal folk, can really imagine.
You know, to be honest, coincidentally, this has very little to do with this itself, but because Scott mentioned the travel, I would be fascinated to see what an average month or couple months in Scott and Courtney's life is. How often are they on the road? How often does he travel? How many planes is he on? I don't doubt, I'm sure he travels all the time, but what is all the time? 3 times a week? Every day? I have no idea. I would just be interested to know. I know he promotes a lot of these club things.
Even if it's once a month or once every 2 months, they still travel a lot more than I do in a year.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
So 3 kids on a plane.
Yeah.
But then it also goes to, I mean, people are probably going to hate me for saying this, but you can get a sitter. You don't have to take your kids everywhere. Like, I understand that people want to be with their kids and like, because I mean, my best friend's guilty of it. And I'm not knocking anybody that wants to be with their kid at all times, but I'm just saying that there comes a time where it's okay to leave your child at home. It's okay.
It is, but that's the balance that Scott and everyone else who's of this financial level and business level has to always balance. Yes, the nanny can raise the kids, but how much will the nanny raise the kids? Do you want to be mom and dad, or do you just want to be the people that gave birth to the kids and the nanny raises them while you're doing your business thing? And where do your priorities lie? And this is not a knock on Scott and Courtney or anybody in this family, but they all have very, very significant business aspirations. And I know family comes first to this entire family, but how far do those priorities balance out when you have to go to business things? Do you take your kids? Do you stay home for your kids? Do you turn things down? That's something they're going to have to balance every day. They've been doing it with 2. It only gets more complicated, not only with 3, but with a brand newborn, you know, and with a pregnant Courtney for the first, you know, the next 7 or 8 months.
I think they're doing a really good job balancing. Like, I would never like put them as like unfit parents. Like, I think they're great parents based on what I can see on television, but I think they're doing the right thing.
If they ever feel overwhelmed, they just have to think of like the Duggards or whatever, that
I thought you were
family
gonna say something different.
with like 20 kids. Now that's crazy.
That is crazy. I thought you were going to say if they ever feel overwhelmed, you were going to come house sit for them.
I mean, I would have loved to house sit their house while they were in the Hamptons. I feel like that house, even when they were living, you know, in it before the summer, looked just pretty dang empty, and I wouldn't have minded.
Is it bad of me?
Oh my God, I can't talk.
I was like, who's going to watch their cute cat?
Oh God, their cat's super cute.
That's a job for you guys.
It's like a tiger.
Animals.
All right, let's move on to the other big story, kind of the biggest impetus for this entire episode, and presumably the second half of the season finale tomorrow. I can't talk because of you. I'm stumbling over my words because you've been stumbling over yours. Thanks, Frankie.
Contagious. It's contagious.
It is contagious. All right, how about this wedding with Kim? First things first, I said it. I'm going to own up to it. Don't look at me like that. I did not like Kim's wedding dress. I'm just going to be real honest. I didn't like it.
What didn't you like about it?
Okay. Besides the open midriff, whatever, and maybe I'm not saying the right word, the open stomach, you know what I'm talking about.
Like, you can see your stomach, okay.
Besides that, everything else about it was super conservative, a little frumpy, a little like 1920s to me, a little like too much material. I thought it was going to be a little more like, not that it's scandalous and sleazy, but I thought she was going to show a little more skin. I thought she was going to do a little strapless, sleeveless, whatever thing. And she's got like almost a turtleneck on top. I didn't like it.
Didn't you do strapless last wedding?
I don't know. The fact that we have to ask that.
No, but okay. In her defense, okay. First off, vintage is coming back. It's a big deal. And 2, she is in her 30s. She needs to be conservative. She doesn't need to be like flopping everything out just because she has it.
The same girl who was taking naked selfies in Mexico in Thailand a couple weeks ago.
For her husband, not for the world.
But it was on TV.
Hey, I don't think that she's in her 30s has anything to do with being conservative or not. I love lace, so I like the dress. I wouldn't have worn it for my wedding. But I don't think it was conservative at all.
I thought it was classy and elegant.
I mean, she got married in Versailles, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, she got married in the palace or around there.
I thought it was boring.
The only thing I didn't like about it was that weird
TNA.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with seeing a little TNA.
That weird belt was weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have cut the belt.
I just didn't like any of it.
Well,
I didn't like any of it.
Good thing you don't have to wear them, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm not going to marry her.
I swear, I think her last dress was strapless and like the fairy tale dress. I'm pretty sure the last one was. So maybe she wanted to steer in a totally different direction, Bobby. You can't knock a girl for trying.
I can't knock her for wearing white on wedding number 3, though.
Oh,
was it really white or was it like ivory?
Cream.
Like, cream.
Off
like,
color.
You guys are horrible.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It was eggshell, Bobby.
It's vanilla.
I like, though, in the very beginning of the episode, she said, let's hurry up and get married so I can get pregnant again.
Yeah,
like,
that's
just-
scary.
well,
that scares
I bet-
me, but then again, Kanye made $40 million last year, so it's a little less scary for that situation, right?
Why would it scare you?
Because I have no money and I'm poor and I can't
Oh,
take care
I
of
thought you.
myself.
I thought you meant scare you about Kim having a second baby.
No,
I was like, how does that even affect
If a girl
you?
said that to me, if a girl's like, let's hurry up and get married because I want to have a baby, I'd be like, I can't run fast enough. But,
Yeah, but
Kanye's at a different station in life.
They're, I'm not going to say they're old, but they're like,
not
she,
old.
Kim is at the age where she needs to have all the kids she wants because she's not going to be able to pretty soon.
I don't know if I agree with that. I think the women are,
Serious?
women are having kids
sh-
older and older.
But
and
women
they're
should
healthier and
not
healthier.
have kids after 40. It is very dangerous. You go
I know.
up into the risk of Down syndrome, of just all kinds of birth defects. Like,
But
it's,
she got 7 or 8 years until she hits 40.
okay, but you shouldn't like wait till you're 40. Like,
Pop out 5, 6, 7 kids in that time.
not
geez.
in a healthy way. You should wait a little bit before you do that.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, trust me, I've done a lot of research into it. I'm pushing that age. Like,
have-
come on. Like, I've done a lot of research because I'm not ready myself.
Jesse, do you want to hurry up and get married so you can pop a kid out?
No, I don't. That's just it. I don't want kids yet. Like, and you know, pretty soon I'll have to want them or be ready to want them. I mean, I do want kids. Don't quote that.
Okay.
I do. I'm just not ready financially. I want to be able to give my child everything.
As everyone should.
All right, moving on to that
Right.
wedding
Speak,
shower.
yeah,
ahead.
if you didn't like her wedding gown, did you like her shower dress? I thought
Loved
that
it.
was really cute.
Loved it, yeah.
Cute.
The pearls were so cute.
Yeah,
So
loved
cute.
it.
And
Don't-
she said she had it for like 6 years.
Don't
so
you
why
love
didn't
that? Like, whenever you find something in your closet, you're like, I've never worn this, but this is cute as hell right now.
If I find that, I'm like, crap,
Never
I can't
happened to
fit
me.
into it.
Got 3 shirts. No, I mean, yeah, no, I thought it was really cute.
You guys saw this one last week.
Yes, they got 3 shirts. I think it was really cute. I think the shower itself was a good idea. I think finally this is the resolution of the Chris issue with wanting to do something. Chris did this. She made it bigger than she kind of thought she should, but Kim liked it. So
Yeah, I was
all's
really
well that
happy.
ends
I thought I was worried that Kim was gonna get angry. But
Really? Did you really think she'd get mad?
well, like, you know, not obviously and not in front of her guests, but I thought because she made a huge stink about it beforehand, telling her I don't want anything, we don't have time for this, blah blah blah. I mean, she did say I thought it was just gonna be a little, meal, but
I think
I'm
had
glad
she
that she enjoyed it.
I think if she had found out earlier about the party,
Yeah,
she
she would've
might
been
would have got
mad.
mad. But because she walked into it, it's exciting when people do nice things for you. God, I'd love for someone to throw me a surprise bridal shower. I had to
Hint,
plan my
Frankie.
own.
And Kim is the perfect person to throw a maybe unwanted surprise for. Remember the Vienna incident episode? Kim has the media training and the professionalism to hold back in public over anything. And so at the surprise, no matter whether she liked it or not, and she liked this, but even if she'd hated it, Kim will grit her teeth, she will grin, and she will bear it. And you may hear about it later, but she will not cause a scene. She's been trained too well, she's too professional, she's too smart. So if you're gonna throw a questionable surprise for somebody, Kim's a perfect one to do it for.
You can never throw a scene.
Chloe would flip.
She has the best poker face.
Yeah.
You could not ever throw a scene if there's champagne involved. Or brunch. Absolutely not.
Food. Just if there's food involved, Frankie will
right.
never throw a scene.
You're right.
All right, so we're gonna see. We won't see the wedding next time, but we see them leave for Paris. Spoiler alert: do you think they actually go through with the wedding? Just kidding.
I don't know.
No. Just kidding. But, spoiler alert, because I don't know if this is true, did Bruce cut his hair?
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
There you go.
Spoiler
Just
alert.
testing out some new graphics and sounds today, you guys.
I'm really excited though because I like that we're gonna see Kanye in next week's episode. Because I
Finally.
know he does. I know he doesn't like to be on the film, but it's cute to see them together.
You're gonna have to see him in the wedding episode if he's one of the 2 people getting married.
When is the wedding episode? Like, are they going to actually... No, that did not mean to come out like it. I'm not... No. Like, I'm saying, like, when are they actually going to show it on TV, like, at the actual wedding?
Did they not? I think
Because I heard they weren't.
Yeah, I don't think they filmed the wedding, but they
they're filming
filmed
the
everything
process, yeah.
around it. So we're gonna
So,
see that
so
next
the
week.
wedding episode is
tomorrow.
Monday night. And whether we do that Monday night or whether we do that next Sunday at our usual time, we will decide that and let everybody know. But we are going to see the process tomorrow. which is what we saw with The Veil and with Kanye and with Kris doing her thing and with all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to see that. I can't wait to see that. I just love seeing a good Kardashian wedding. Lord knows we got a lot of them.
Cricket.
How many Kardashian weddings have we seen? We've definitely seen Kris Humphries. We've seen Lamar. We've seen. Did we see the one before Kris Humphries?
No.
Did we see Kris and Bruce renew their vows?
We did.
Yeah.
Which I would count.
So 3.
I just love seeing a good wedding.
Who would have known?
We didn't see Brandon and Leah very early on, did we?
I don't think so.
We didn't see their wedding at all.
Okay.
No, they were just always together.
So you mean to tell me this is only Kardashian wedding number 4 on television?
Well, Rob won't do his wedding on TV.
No, he won't.
He'll probably do it in Vegas.
And I'm just
Elvis
waiting.
style.
I'm just waiting for Kourtney and Scott. That would be the ultimate Kardashian wedding on TV.
Oh my gosh!
I feel like they wouldn't.
No.
Well, I mean, we've heard. Was it 2 episodes ago where she called Scott her husband or something about them being married? So maybe they really are. I feel like they would just do just a small little.
They would go to the courthouse.
Courthouse wedding. Yeah.
Well, didn't we already talk? Didn't you predict that maybe that they were already married?
I think they are. My assumption is that they are already married, and nobody knows about it, and whatever. So last quick topic before we get to news and predictions and all that good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about Kylie and Kendall. Not central to this episode, of course, but first things first. Kylie and Kendall wrote a book, and I hate to rain on y'all's parade. They had a ghostwriter. There's no way they wrote that book.
Well, that was
No way.
part of or maybe I just read it for news and gossip and just didn't do it. But I read in news and gossip that they didn't even write the book.
Of course they did.
That they just kind of put their input of what they kind of wanted.
Of course they didn't. There's no way that. No offense to them, you're not writers. Don't try to be writers. I think it's cool you do a different project. And the thing I liked about it is they said, this is not like us at all. This is different. It's this weird sci-fi novel. That's cool. Do something that's not, Kardashian. I think that's awesome. But let's cut excuse my language, let's cut the shit, okay? We didn't write the book. You didn't write the book, you're not authors. You had a ghostwriter. Prove it to me that you wrote it. You can't do it.
They didn't, but they might have approved and picked out stuff for the characters.
Sure, they did, and I understand the ghostwriting process. I know they came back to them with revisions, but Kendall and Kylie are not only too busy to be writing a novel. Do you know, the reason that this makes me so upset is I know writers who write novels who work their asses off to write, and it is so impossible to get rejected and rejected and rejected and rejected just to try to get published so, a couple hundred people might buy your book at the store. And then for these Johnny-come-latelys to come and just sell a book because of their name. I know you can do it. You have a good name. It's a branding thing. That's awesome. Good for you. But I got to feel like writers see this and they're like, man, you got to be kidding.
Well, I mean, that's with everything involving people in the spotlight. I watch marathons of SVU all the time, and there was a commercial for, I think, Royal Pains or something like that, and Chloe's in the episode as herself. And Scott, yeah, as themselves.
Yeah.
And, there's actors that move to LA and struggle for years and never even make it on a TV show, and, just because they have their name. So that's just part of being a celeb.
I totally agree. I think it's a crappy thing. And I think things like this, I know I'm putting way too big of a point on this. I'm sure people will disagree, and that's fine. But Kendall and Kylie writing a book in air quotes and things like this is what drags down the collective American psyche and intelligence and whatever. It's not the fact that the Kardashians exist in general. I think their show is entertaining in a vacuum. You obviously don't look to them for life advice. But when they start crossing over into other art forms like this, yes, they're allowed to do it. They can make money, go for it. But this is when you start kind of dragging down intellect, dragging down public discourse. When you go into an art form like writing, and you take something and make it so there's no way this thing isn't cheap. I'm going to go read the book now because I want to see how bad it is.
Well, I've heard reviews.
Not good?
I didn't hear it was that great.
I'm not surprised.
In their defense, there are a lot of ghostwriters that don't want their name out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't answer the issue of the fact that
every star, they always have something that they have to promote. That's how they make their living. That's how they continue being where they are.
That's what drags down this public discourse. That's what drags down the intellect level of us as a society, is not them doing their thing that made them famous or whatever it is, or doing their show. It's transitioning over to just squeeze out more fame, squeeze out more money, squeeze out more PR and more talk and more inches in newspapers. That's what drags this crap down. Do what you do, but when you cross over to be a quote-unquote novelist that didn't actually write a book, that's when it gets cringeworthy to me. Kendall's a great model. Do your modeling thing, that's what you are. Novelist, author, that is not what you are. That's all I gotta say about
some
that.
people have multiple talents, okay?
She's not one of them. Okay. She is not one of them. All right, let's get to, I know, Jesse, you've got a little news and gossip. Let's do it, news and gossip time.
I do.
AfterBuzz TV News.
While we're doing news, I realized I just got a Snapchat from Jesse Owen 40 minutes ago. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
What you got,
so
Jesse?
anyways, news and gossip. Kendall, obviously we know she's a model, where she has decided to change her name to just Kendall. She's left off the Jenner. Basically, it's to, help her career. Basically, because the Jenners, her dad's a track star, then there's Brody. Everybody has their own thing. So she wants to be her own individual person. Basically, like Madonna, Pink, Cher. How they have their single title names. That's what she's going for. And you would think that Chris and Bruce wouldn't be okay with it, but they are definitely okay with it.
I'm surprisingly okay with this. I know I just shit all over Kendall because of the author thing. I'm surprisingly okay with this. You do what you want to do with that. I think the name is obviously unique enough. You can say, one argument is, oh, but Madonna's a legend. You can't do that till you're a legend. Well, Madonna had the one name before she became what we know as Madonna. Cher was doing that before she became what we knew as Cher. So, okay, I'm okay with you doing the one name thing. Good for you.
Yeah, sometimes I think about just going by my first name too.
It's kind of classy.
Full first name or Cheska or Frankie?
Full first name.
Franklin?
Kendall.
Franklin.
Franny.
Right. What else? Is that it? What else you got?
That's all I have. There
Big
wasn't
news and
much this
gossip
week.
Well, last week we weren't here, and the VMAs were on, and Kim, Kendall, and Kylie were at the VMAs, and Kim presented something. I can't remember. I watched.
Thank God Kim presented, not Kendall and Kylie. Am I right?
Why?
The award show they hosted a few weeks ago, that was a disaster.
I missed it.
What was it?
Wasn't any good. They were terrible hosts.
What was it?
I can't remember what was the
Oh
show.
wait, I know what you're talking about because they introduced the band wrong. Whoever it was, God,
totally
who was
missed out.
it?
It was bad. It was like Chloe hosting the X Factor, whichever one she hosted, The Voice, the X Factor.
X Factor, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad.
Unless I DVR things, I always seem to just miss things.
Because you're eating food.
That's true. But Kim looked really, 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 really nice at the VMAs, and there's a funny picture. I should have prepped it for the show. Of Usher was standing behind her. I don't know if you guys saw this going around on Twitter, and looking back and smiling at Kim. I thought that was funny.
At Kim's ass. Let's call it what it is. He's looking back at Kim's ass.
I mean, who
smiling at Kim.
wouldn't? You saw her in those sweatpants in this episode?
Oh my Lord. I've seen another one in New York when they're filming for the Hamptons or whatever. Kim walking out of a store and a New York City policeman is
Oh yeah, I've
smiling
seen
and
that.
staring at her
I've seen
ass.
that one too.
It's a perfect picture.
I mean,
man.
how could you not?
How could you not? I'm not even like, this is going to sound weird. It's not even that I'm physically attracted to it. I'm just fascinated by the physics of it. I'm fascinated by like how it was created, whether it's real or fake or a combination of both. Like, I just want to like investigate. I just want to know what's going on.
FBI?
there.
You just want to touch it.
Female
Poke
booty
it.
inspector?
I honestly do. I just want to know. I just want to understand the gravity and the physics and like the dimensions and like what's going on with it.
FBI.
Junk
Yeah.
in
Bobby
the
is
trunk.
the FBI.
Or anybody, not even me. I just want somebody to do like a documentary on it. How about that?
That's your department, man.
All right, yeah, we've bottomed out. That's my next documentary. Let's do a little predictions and wrap this thing up.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV prediction.
Folks, we've got a dog walking around the studio. Jesse brought in her dog Doobie, and he's just kind of hanging out. So if he wants to, I don't know where he is right now, but if he wants to weigh in on predictions, we can let him do that too.
He was sitting by me, but I ignored him, so he got his feelings hurt.
Just like Brody. So tell me, Jesse, prediction-wise, what you got?
I predict Kim and Kanye are gonna get married.
Are you serious?
But I also predict that they're not gonna make Bruce cut his hair.
Oh, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say they're gonna let him be his own person.
Totally agree with you.
I predict that Rob and Brody don't go to the wedding.
You guys suck.
I mean, what can we predict? I'm just so thrown off that this is a 2-part season finale, and I feel like that just came out of nowhere.
It did come out of nowhere. They took a week off. Then it's a Sunday, Monday season finale. It's like an hour-and-a-half episode each time. This is my prediction, and I'm sorry to say it. And I know some commenters have said this before, and I want you guys at home, if you are watching or listening, to weigh in on YouTube or Twitter. We'll give our Twitters in a second. My prediction is, I think Keeping Up with the Kardashians is on its last legs. And I think this either will be the last season or it will get canceled during whatever the next season is or at the end of that. It's run for, this is season 9. If it goes 9 or 10 years, that's incredible. Very few shows do that,
Yeah.
reality or whatever. Say what you want, that's an incredible run. But it is on its last legs. They are just dragging out storylines from crap, and they have been all year. And we love it. I love being here with you guys. But I don't see the Kardashians going forward too much more. I think the show's on its last legs. I have no interest in watching this Khloe and Kourtney spinoff. I just don't. I'm sorry. I'm gonna watch it because it's what I do, but I really don't have an interest. I think this show gets canceled. I think E pulls the plug on it either after this season or during or after the very next season, and that's it.
I have to agree. I think there'll be at least one more season, and then they'll pull the plug. But it's sad. But it is getting boring. Like tonight's episode was just, they could have like made it like
it dragged.
at most an hour.
Yeah, there was good drama and good plot lines in this one, but it did feel.
It took 3 episodes to go to Thailand. It took 3 episodes to go to Thailand.
I wish we were there for those 3 weeks. That would have been amazing.
It's ridiculous. All right, so hey, that's our question for you guys at home. So if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on iTunes, go on YouTube, go on the video, comment, and tell us if you think Kardashians is going to get canceled, if it deserves to get canceled, blah, blah, blah. Also, you can tweet us. Jesse, what is your Twitter account?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Jessie Owen.
Twitter, Instagram, XOXOCESCA.
I'm on Twitter at Bobby DeMuro, and I'll give out my Snapchat because Kardashian fans have been Snapchatting me a lot. I'm also on Snapchat at Bobby DeMuro, so add me, snap me, I will snap you back. That's it this week on the Kardashians, or today on the Kardashians. We'll be back either tomorrow night or next Sunday. We haven't decided yet. It's based on AfterBuzz schedules, but we will be doing the season finale second part for Kardashians, so rest assured that's coming up. We'll see you guys whenever for that. Good night.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.